Hi, my name is Urmila and I'm a freshman studying chemical biology at the College of Chemistry at UC Berkeley. In this video, I'll be discussing how I applied as a chem major despite not having that many strictly STEM-related activities on my resume. I missed out on opportunities to do Chemistry Bowl and Science Olympiad in high school. So if you're like me and you realize that you have a passion in a certain academic area pretty late in high school and you're wondering how to apply to college, I'm here to share my experiences with you. I only realized that I wanted to apply as a chemistry major in my junior year, which I felt was relatively late. I had known people who had been coding since 6th grade or been doing robotics and math Olympiad since middle school, and I felt like I was in the minority of people who didn't really know what they wanted to do yet. So when I did figure it out, I also had to navigate how I was going to apply without really having that much experience in this area. In school, I realized that I had a knack for chemistry. I was pretty good at it and I was doing well in class, but I didn't think that that was enough of a reason for me to pursue it in college. My chemistry teacher was actually really interested in environmental issues, and she introduced me to the field of green chemistry, which is an up-and-coming field which a lot of research institutions are taking interest in, such as Carnegie Mellon, Yale, and Columbia. I also realized that chem had a vast number of applications, and with a chem degree, I could apply to business school, law school, or med school, or become an engineer, and I was really excited about the possibilities for creativity and exploration. But I did end up becoming very interested in green chemistry, and I wanted to pursue it further. One of the catalysts for this interest was a guest lecturer in my chemistry class junior year. She came to our class to talk about her work in green chemistry and how she is creating biodegradable plastics. I was really intrigued by her lecture, and I asked my chemistry teacher to introduce us via email. We were able to set up an informational interview for me to ask questions about her field and her work. The interview went really well, and I learned a lot from her experiences. But she also told me that her company takes high school interns over the summer, and she invited me to apply. I did apply, and I ended up getting the position, and I gained a really valuable experience in green chemistry, but also in a professional lab setting. So if you are interested in any field or area, I strongly advise that you take random opportunities and really delve into your interests, because you never know what kind of opportunities and experiences may come up for you. To run through my main extracurricular activities, I was involved in Indian classical dance. I was part of the Tech Museum Student Board, the Santa Clara County Youth Task Force. I had my paid internship at the startup, and I also started an individual project to raise awareness for microplastics. It wasn't until the summer before my senior year that I really took off on my major-related activities. It was during the summer that I did my research internship, but I also embarked on this project to declare a certain day Microplastics Awareness Day. It was during my research internship that I learned about the problem of microplastics. Microplastics are small plastic particles that can invade certain ecosystems and water systems and can affect the health of our ecology and also humans. In fact, our research was geared towards combating the microplastics problem by creating biodegradable plastics. I felt that not enough people knew about this issue, and I wanted to raise awareness for it. I had been involved in leadership groups in the Bay Area, and I wanted to use my connections in those groups and combine it with my passion for chemistry. I pitched my idea to declare a certain day Microplastics Awareness Day to my county supervisor, and they were really supportive. We were able to declare September 14th Microplastics Awareness Day, and I used some of my connections through the Tech Museum Student Board to invite prominent scientists in this environmental chemistry area to speak about it on that day. Since I was able to create a lasting mark on my community by combining my passion for environmental chemistry with my experience and leadership, I believe that this activity helped my application stand out and really show that I had a passion for this subject and this area. I think that doing individual projects like this can be really beneficial because you are doing something that is completely motivated by you. It doesn't have to be an activism or leadership-oriented activity like what I did, but maybe starting a YouTube channel, making music, or doing your own coding project can help your application stand out in ways that no one else's could because you're doing something that is completely unique to you. I now want to move on to how I presented myself in my applications. So first, with courses, I took honors and AP classes. I took 11 AP classes, and I think that there was a pretty even split between STEM AP classes and humanities AP classes. I did well in all of these classes, and I think that having an experience in both humanities and STEM really helped me in the application process. You will find that some applications will ask you to name your favorite books and literature or talk about a moment in history that you were inspired by. And I feel like taking these classes really helped me gain a good understanding of those areas and help me in interviews and those kinds of questions on the applications. But I do think that the most important part of a college application is the essays. In my writing personally, I decided to frame myself as someone who really values inclusivity and interdisciplinary learning. This helped me justify my somewhat scattered list of extracurricular activities because I was able to show that all of them related to my passion for interdisciplinary learning and problem solving. One example of this is when I wrote about my experience in Indian classical dance. I've been dancing since I was 5 years old, and I really wanted to write about this experience that was really integral to my life. Once I got pretty advanced in dance, I started choreographing and doing pieces with dancers from different cultures. Once I was able to do a piece with a flamenco dancer. This was a really unique experience, and I wanted to share that. And I wrote about the choreographic process. During the choreography process, we found that it was a little difficult to find common ground between two very distinct styles that came from vastly different cultural backgrounds. Despite that, we were able to find these commonalities in our rhythm and style, and we were able to create something really beautiful. And I wrote about how I took these collaboration skills and I will be able to apply them to research problems or academic problems in my college career and beyond. Going back to the environmental chemistry part of my application, I wrote about how environmental issues require a multidisciplinary lens. In order to make a change in our environment, we need lawmakers, researchers, activists, artists, and more. And in this way, I was able to show how my varied extracurricular activities fit into my passion for environmental chemistry and solving environmental problems. Overall, my angle was to relate all of my interests to a very broad environmental topic. I was able to relate my art through Indian classical dance, but also my research and my activism, also to my interest in environmental chemistry. And I believe that this multidisciplinary angle really helped my application stand out. So I hope you realize that despite not having a lot of experience in an area, it really boils down to how you write about yourself and how you present yourself. Now, before I wrap up this lesson video, I do want to share some of my insights into UC Berkeley and my experiences so far. To start off, here are some of the reasons that I decided to choose UC Berkeley. The first being the College of Chemistry. The College of Chemistry is a historic institution, and it's also a smaller college within the university. This means that students get more individualized attention, more research opportunities, and an easier time getting classes. The College of Chemistry is home to a lot of really interesting research and historic research. A lot of our periodic table of elements has been discovered here at Berkeley, including one named after Berkeley, Berkelium. The second reason for me was the proximity to home. I'm from the Bay Area, so UC Berkeley is only an hour or two away, and you really underestimate how nice it is to not have to go far. Third, the chem program. I already did talk about the College of Chemistry, but it is rivaled by only MIT, Stanford, and Harvard, so it is a really great place to be if you genuinely love chemistry. I personally really like the student culture here. There is a misconception that it is overly competitive, and I don't think that that's true. Everyone here is really nice and supportive, and I love the professors. I also love the urban campus. It is really well integrated into the city of Berkeley, and there are lots of really fun opportunities. Additionally, Berkeley has great pre-professional programs, whether it be pre-law, pre-business, or pre-med. There are really great ways to know more about the profession that you want to get into, and you can get a lot of support from alumni and older students. Ultimately, my decision on what college I go to came down to UCLA and Berkeley. And a huge part of that decision came down to the chem program. I can't say that I've regretted it, but there are some cons to being here. For me, the main one is that I've been considering the pre-med track recently. At the College of Chemistry, the majors that you can take here are among the hardest at Berkeley, which means that your GPA will suffer a little bit. In general, medical schools value a pretty high GPA, and so it is something to consider when you are thinking about if you want to be pre-med or not. Not to say it isn't possible, but there are also great alternative tracks for pre-meds at Berkeley. There are a lot of other majors that are slightly easier to get a higher GPA in, but in addition, you do not need to take life science courses in order to go to med school. I have peers who are literature majors or doing math, and they can still apply to med school if they take the pre-med prerequisites. So the main point of this video is that you don't need years of experience or insane extracurriculars to show that you are passionate for a field. If you can show that you have the skills to succeed, then you will do fine. I also hope that you enjoyed my discussion about my experience at Berkeley so far, and that I may have even convinced you to apply. I hope this video is helpful, and good luck.